Season 1, Episode 1, Miked, with Mike and
Ed.
All right.
In the beginning.
There was a darkness that covered the land. No. So let's get to know each other, Edward. How are you this morning?
I'm very, very well, Michael. How are you?
I'm spectacular. I think before we can share anything worth any value to anyone who may ever listen to any of this, they should know who we are. So I think that we should take a minute here to introduce ourselves to any potential audience that we may ever run into here.
Well, I think let's back up here. I know for a fact my mom will probably listen to, the first one until she gets, completely bored.
My dad will listen until I use one bad word. Then he'll text me because he's learned how to do that now. And he'll say, Michael, you have to be more professional. You can't use bad words like that.
Well, he won't be listening for long, will he?
No, and I learned it by watching him. Anyway, Ed, tell me about yourself. Ed, you're obviously got a different accent. You're not from Georgia. It's not a Georgia accent. Where'd you grow up, brother?
I grew up a little place called Hawley, Surrey, a little bit south of London, and came over to the States when I was 19 years old. Okay. What about yourself, Michael? Where are you from?
I grew up in New York. I grew up about 40 minutes north of New York City, two stops on the Metro North Line from Grand Central Station. My old man worked for General Motors, and he busted his ass. He provided for a family of 4 plus dogs at times, family of 6, 4 kids, and then moved to Kansas City, and then moved to Atlanta, and then Knoxville, Tennessee, and then back to Atlanta, and then to Kansas City, and then to South Florida, and then I've been back in Atlanta now for 5 years. So I'm from America, brother.
That's quite the journey there, Michael. I went from London to Atlanta to Denver to Atlanta, and here we are now.
That's
in the same room.
So you growing up overseas, obviously you still got a lot of family, friends across the pond there, huh?
Absolutely.
What does a European think about what goes on in the United States of America these days?
In general, are we talking politics? What are we talking about?
In general. Is the idea of America what it was when my grandfather came here from Italy in the 40s?
Yeah, I think pretty much. I think the average person in England thinks there used to be a couple of shows back on TV, Dallas and Dynasty.
Yeah.
And everyone drove really nice cars and had really big houses, and the sun was always shining, and everything just looks great. And so I think a lot of people think that that's what's going on all the time over here in America.
Yeah.
Swimming pools, fast women, etc.
Pickup trucks.
Yeah, probably some pickup trucks as
Dallas,
well. Yeah.
Do they realize that the United States is as big as it is geographically?
No, and neither did I until I've been here for quite a while. Turns out you can actually fit all of England into Florida.
You wouldn't want to do that, though. Florida is a different place.
Yeah, is that even one of the states?
But yeah, for now.
Okay.
Global warming should take care of that. I don't know. So what does the average Englishman think about President Donald Trump?
It's very interesting because obviously over here everyone is strongly opinionated, and there's no confusion as to how people feel. I would say if you walk up to the average person in Europe even and ask them how do they feel about President Trump, they just kind of look confused. They look at you like, yeah, it's like, is that really a real thing? Is that happening?
Yep. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's interesting. Good. All right. So
I think some people are not sure if it's just kind of
reality TV.
Yeah. Well, that was that show, right? The Apprentice, and it's kind of just it's like on season 4 now, except he's in charge of country.
It's funny. We've got a buddy who who's in and out of our lives all the time, and every time he comes back into our life, I'm like, it's like he just signed a big contract with the network, and they had to figure out a way to write him back into the sitcom here because he's in and out, and Must be a beloved character. So you came over here to play college, hockey, soccer, golf, college golf. What was that journey like?
You know, it was interesting. I came over when I was 19. I'd gotten on the plane and was very nervous. Had no idea what I'd be getting into. Now, the year before, I'd been at university in England, and the drinking age in England is 18, but you can probably get away with 16 if you're behaving yourself in the pub. So I'd already had a big time in England and, you know, made a lot of friends. And then I got the opportunity to come over here to play golf at college. And I showed up, and it was the week of freshman orientation.
And this is Rome, Georgia, right?
Oh, yeah.
Berry College, Rome, Georgia.
So I went from just south of London, the hustle and bustle, to Rome, Georgia. And I went to Berry College, biggest campus in the world, fun fact. And Berry happens to be a liberal arts school, seems to be quite religious, dry campus. And so I got there, you know, a week before school started. And because I was told to, freshman orientation week, biggest waste of time ever. They kind of walk you around and point at the library and say, that's the library.
And the tour guide walks backwards. That's the prerequisite. If you're going to give
and
campus tours at any campus in the world, you have to be good at walking backwards and talking.
Yeah, that's the library. That's where they keep the books. You know, that was pretty much the extent of it. And I'd come over with 2 bags of clothes and a golf bag. Got to my dorm room. I didn't have any bed sheets, nothing. No pillow, no TV, no radio. So for the first week, I just laid on this nasty mattress with no friends. Nobody was there. And funny story, there was a couple of people that were in my dorm building, and I was so bored that this German guy who was also there, but he was like a junior still living in the dorms, strange bird. He said,
Probably still there.
Probably is. He goes, do you want to go to Frost Chapel? And he could have said anything. I would have said yes. I said, sure. And I got onto the back of his little motorcycle and held on tightly. And we took a ride up to Frost Chapel, which was like a different campus. And I don't want to be rude here, but the collection of people that were there were not my type of people. And anyway, so I'm like, all right, what are we going to do? And then we actually played a game of Red Rover.
Red Rover. Send the German kid on over.
Yeah, and you know, I remember holding hands with people and thinking, oh my God, what's happened? And then they told me, you have to keep your eyes closed, Ed. So I just went with it. And anyway, I called my mom the next morning and said, I've made the biggest mistake of my life. I'm coming back home. And she said, well, you can't. And I said, all right. And then that Friday rolled around, and that was where things took a turn for the better. Some of the guys from the golf team had showed up, and they invited me over to their townhouse. And of course, I had nothing else to do. So I went there and met some of the guys. And one of the guys on the golf team was a Scottish guy called Schmeg. I can get into that story later.
So what you're going to find over the next little while is that Ed does not have any friends named Bill. They're all named Schmeg and Cocky and Pluggy and Sharpie and the Weasel. And these are real people that I'm talking about. So stick with us.
Yeah, I don't even know what their real names are. So anyway, Schmeg was sitting at the kitchen table and decided to snort a shot of Hot Damn, that cinnamon liquor, through a straw up his nose, which he successfully did. And about 10 minutes later, the whole right side of his face collapsed, kind of like he'd had a stroke. And he went bright red. And what's funny is we all kind of gave it about 15, 20 minutes before we even brought up the suggestion that maybe we should take him to the hospital, which we didn't. But anyway, at that point, I felt a lot more comfortable with my surroundings. And I was like, you know what? These might be my people and things might be okay. And the rest is history. So I went to Berry for 4 years and actually graduated. Multiple tests don't really happen in England, and over here in the States, it's like A, B, C, D. So I could handle that. And and then
C's get degrees. That's what I learned in college.
Get degrees. Yeah. What about you, Mike? So I don't really, know the details. I know you were up in New York and then got turfed.
Yeah. So junior year of high school, General Motors was shutting down the assembly plant in New York. Told the old man he could keep the 22 years he had at the company and head to Kansas City, or good luck. And so we pulled out a road atlas and said, where the hell is Kansas City? And first time I ever got to Kansas City is when we moved there. We had a van full of stuff, and the moving trucks were on their way. And I ended up graduating high school in Kansas City and went to the University of Kansas, the Jayhawks.
Is that a real university?
It's as real as Berry College for sure. I went to Kansas. My plan, because everyone has a plan. My plan was I'm going to go to Kansas for 2 years because it's inexpensive, in-state tuition at that point, and then I was going to transfer back east, where I was from. It was home for me.
Transfer or transition?
Transfer. No, the transition hasn't happened yet. And so I was going to transfer back, Syracuse, Villanova was what I was looking at, and that's what I'd been accepted to. And got to Kansas and had a lot of fun. And ultimately, the transcript wasn't really very appealing after the first 2 years. So I stayed in Kansas, and I had a great time and met some great people who have funny names also. Biggie, Whiskey Roy. So we'll meet some of these characters too. But graduated University of Kansas, and I graduated as well. It took an extra semester, but I graduated in December. So
got the job done.
The year was still the same. So it was class of 2002. And then moved back to Kansas City, moved, and ended up here. So
it's nice.
Yeah, fun. So so Ed, you've done pretty well professionally. Your title is a senior executive consultant. I didn't really, but you're a health coach as well.
Yep.
That's not even the joke. Tell you, what do you do now, Ed? What the hell do you do on a daily basis?
That is a very good question. I sometimes ask myself that. So I've been doing sales for almost 20 years now. Opened an office in 2002, and have had some decent success with that. Opened up quite a few offices around the country. And, one of the fortunate things is that a lot of my best friends we're all in business together. In fact, Mike, you were in my office. How long ago was that?
10, 11 years. August of 2008.
And you've had your own office ever since. So, doing the sales thing and been doing the consultant thing, and recently I've been doing the, running an office thing again and doing sales myself. It's been, completing the circle.
Refreshing, huh?
Yeah.
All right,
been learning a lot.
Here's the deal, Ed. I'm going to shoot you straight. Over the years, a lot of people have said, Ed does well because he's got an accent. What's the truth?
I don't think the accent hurts, but it also isn't a ticket to ride. I've probably hired, I don't know, I'm going to guess 10 British guys to do the same job, and they've all sucked. Awful. They've not made it past a week or two. Hello, mate. Been doing a lot of thinking, and it just isn't my cup of tea. So, the accent alone doesn't quite get you there. You have to have, some work ethic.
Yeah, what does? So what does get someone there?
What makes people successful in life? I think you have to know what you want, and I think you have to be willing to work hard for it. And when the obstacles and the negatives come your way, you can't let them discourage you, and you can't stop. You just have to keep moving forward, and you'll figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And you can't be a complete puss.
Yeah. You get it. It's something that people talk about a lot. They talk about, professionalism. They talk about people skills. They talk about work ethic, organization, preparation. No one talks about being tough. You got to be tough because, Rocky said, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And ultimately, that's where the magic happens. The overnight success after getting punched in the face for decades. Yeah.
There's never been a success story in the history of time where somebody said, I had an idea and I started doing it and it was easy the entire way through and everything worked out. There were no issues. There were no problems. There were no headaches. It all just went perfectly to plan. Never.
No. So obviously, you were when you started, I guess, your career, 25 years old, right?
Yep.
So you had some jobs prior to that. I imagine some of them would be fairly entertaining. What did you do? I got a couple of good ones.
Yeah, I actually really appreciate the fact that my parents encouraged me to really get as many shit jobs as possible under my belt.
Is it the British term for?
Yeah, that's the official term. Yeah, so I think my first ever wasn't really a job. It was more freelance, but I used to mow people's lawns on my street. My first real job was in a pizza restaurant that was just at the end of my street called Pizzaster. We used to call it Disaster.
It's an odd selection of names.
Yeah, so I washed dishes in the kitchen there, and then they promoted me after a while to server, and had some good times there. I was actually a personal trainer for a summer, which was hilarious.
Really?
I had no idea what I was doing. And I was at this really nice place called The Priory, where a lot of high-end people would go work out, and I won't go into all the details. But
it's odd because I've been to the gym with you, and to see you on the trainer side of things, I didn't know that. That's new knowledge for me.
Yeah.
We were at the sunglass hut there in Gatwick Airport.
Yeah, that's the only job I've ever been fired from, actually.
How did that go down?
Yeah, so I grew up 5 minutes from Gatwick Airport. My buddy got me a job at the Sunglass Hut, and went through my training and was doing a pretty good job. It was just a summer job, and I eventually got to the point where I had the responsibility. They gave me the keys to open up the Sunglass Hut, by myself. And, obviously the airport, things get going pretty early. So I was supposed to be there at 5:30 a.m. And I fully planned on doing that. And the night before, I was going to go to bed, about 9, 10 o'clock. My buddy Sharpie, Irish guy, called me at about 8 o'clock and said, we're going down the pub. And I said, I can't, Sharpie. I got to work tomorrow. I got to open up the Sunglass Hut at 5:30.
Side note, so Sharpie unfriended me on Facebook. He was tired of seeing pictures of my bastard children.
Yep.
Sorry.
Sounds about right. So anyway, I said to him, I can't go. I got to open up the Sunglass Hut at 5:30. Which, I was doing the math. I probably meant I had to get up at 4:30. And Sharpie's a very conniving, persuasive, tricky, just individual. And so he said, just come down to pub. Just have a couple of beers and then you just go home. And I said, all right. So fast forward.
I don't feel like you had to work too hard to persuade you at that stage.
It was just really someone to blame for later. So went to the pub, had a couple of beers. They probably tasted quite nice. And then, fast forward at 2 a.m., I was in a nightclub and got back to my mum and dad's house. And, now it was about 3 o'clock. I had to get up at 4:30. So I had the idea that I would take a shower at 3 o'clock, put my clothes on ready for work, and I'll just lay down just for a second. And next thing I know, my dad was in my bedroom at about 7 o'clock saying, "Aren't you supposed to be at work?" And I eventually got to Gatwick Airport. It was in the middle of the summer. The airport was heaving. It was a lot of business, a lot of industry going on. And I remember going up the escalators thinking to myself, what's worse, if it's still closed or if it's someone got the phone call and it's now open? And so I turn around the corner, all this hustle and bustle, all of this, revenue being produced everywhere. And I get to the Sunglass Hut and the metal shutters are all down. It's dark. And so I opened it up and I actually don't think my hangover had kicked in yet. I was still drunk.
Still drunk, yeah.
Yeah, and I got in, logged in, ready to go. And, pretty soon I had a pounding headache. And it was interesting. There was a steel band that was playing right outside the Sunglass Hut.
And in your head.
Both, yeah, all over. And so that was going on. I had a headache. And then on that particular day, there was a bunch of school kids running around, and they all had the exact same book bag on, backpack, this purple and yellow backpack. There's 30 of them running around. And, when you have a backpack on, I'm sure you've done this, when you have a backpack on and you can't be bothered to take the backpack off, but you need to put your coat on.
Put the coat over the backpack.
Put your coat over the backpack, right?
For sure, yeah. Pick the kids up at school. I see it all the time.
So that was going on, Anyway, so while I was standing at the cash register at the Sunglass Hut, this lady came in and she had a big hump on her back. And I thought she was one of the teachers and had done that move. And so she was leaning over this case of sunglasses, and I walked over to her, put my hand on her back, and I said, "You look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame." And she goes, "Oh, thank you very much." And then just kind of shuffled off in a very awkward manner. And then I went back to the cash register, put my head in my hands and realized that she didn't have a backpack on under there. And she duly called the Sunglass Hut, complained, and I got fired later that day.
So you didn't get fired for being 2 hours late to work.
I'm sure that didn't help.
You didn't get fired for being drunk at work.
Well,
You got fired for insulting the Hunchback. That is amazing.
Yeah, you ever been fired from a job, Mike?
No, I haven't.
That is amazing to me.
I haven't. Yeah. So my work is I was a little league umpire. Tough to fire me. Right. So I was a little league umpire.
You volunteering?
No, I got $6 per game, and I would do usually 3 every Saturday, and then the guy in charge would give me extra $2, so I get $20 cash. It was good.
There's actually my boy Jack plays Little League baseball now. He has one of his teammates on his team there is an orphan. He is terrible at baseball. Yeah. He doesn't know where home is.
Get used to it. Get used to it, folks. And then, so I was a Little League umpire. I got a job working for this guy. He's an Allstate insurance guy back in Olathe, Kansas. And he paid me, again, cash. I made flyers, and I would just go around town, put them in windshields, and put them up at the community college, little pull tabs. He paid me. It was straight commission. It was, kind of commission. It was like every flyer, I think I got 10 cents or something like that. So I'd make 2,000 flyers, and I'd go out and put them all over. I probably didn't make any money because I paid for the flyers, but it was a good experience, and it was funny because I could just throw these all in the trash and take 10 cents for every one of them, but I literally put flyers up all over town.
As you should.
So here's the deal. Something you don't know. Windshield wipers are kind of sharp, and it would hurt your fingers after you pull up 2,000 windshield wipers. So that was I did that job. I worked at Best Buy when I was in high school. I was pretty good at Best Buy.
Did you have one of those blue shirts?
Yeah, they made me buy them. So your new hire paperwork, they say
insult to injury, right?
$16 each, and you have to buy at least 2 when you're hired. They deduct it from your first check, and you get your 2 Best Buy polo shirts.
Did you used to wear them out in town afterwards just to get your money's worth?
Yeah, I was like, hey, I paid for this. I got a job, better than most of these people. So, no, I never wore them out of town. I didn't really do anything. I didn't really go anywhere. I was a junior in high school. I just moved to Kansas City from New York. The social life wasn't popping. I didn't really know what the hell was going on. But I didn't get fired from Best Buy. After that, I started working at the Italian Delight, the pizza place. So I think
you met Frank.
Yeah, Frank. Frank has been probably one of the biggest, aside from my family, probably the biggest influence in my life.
What's the best thing Frank ever taught you?
Frank's taught me a couple things that I say a lot of times to the guys that I work with, and they don't understand them because I didn't really understand them, because Frank's advice is Italian but translated into English, so it doesn't always gel. But Frank taught me that when you fish in that kind of a sea, that's the kind of fish you catch, right? Which means where your surroundings, like if you're surrounding yourself with bad things, you're going to catch bad things. If you're fishing in a pond that's contaminated, you're going to get some contaminated fish. He also taught me that a leopard doesn't change its stripes. Leopards don't have stripes, but the translation of the leopard doesn't change its stripes. And essentially, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. People aren't going to change that much, especially if it's something that's inside of them, over time.
Rocky Balboa said that we can all change. If I can change and you can change.
We all can change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was talking to Russians. That's how he ended the Cold War, by the way.
Oh, that was it?
That was it. It was the end of the Cold War. Rocky IV, Christmas Day, Moscow.
Because they all started cheering for Rocky in the end. So that then at that point they said, all right, you guys are all right.
Yeah. They said, hey, this Rocky guy is tough. We'll cheer for him.
Makes sense.
But no, I've never been fired. And you know what? I don't think I ever will be. I ain't gonna fire myself.
Unlikely.
Maybe I will. I don't know. So I'm a professional wrestling manager now.
That's right. Yeah, tell us how you got into professional wrestling management.
It's great. So I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid. I watched Hulk Hogan body slam Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 at the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit, Michigan, and was hooked. And then, I was in college during the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer drinking, rock shit talking, the peak of professional wrestling, the NWO.
The good old days. What about Hulk Hogan? Was he one of your heroes?
The Hulkster, as a little kid, man, the Hulkster, he was my dog. I had me and my brother. We would take any shirt that my mom would let us take, and we would cut the sleeves off of it, and then we would cut the little holes in the back, and then we would rip it off of ourselves like the Hulkster used to do. Actually, I had a teddy bear when I was a kid, and I made a Hulk Hogan T-shirt for him. It said Hulkamania across it. It was
Was this when you're like 14 or something?
I was 19. I was like 6. But anyway, so yeah, I was a big wrestling fan, and then probably 5 months ago. My wife, I'll tell you, you know how I got into wrestling? It was Beverly Hills 90210's fault. So my wife gets invited to this Beverly Hills 90210 party for the new show that they had on, right?
Which was shit, wasn't it?
I watched a couple episodes, and I don't know. I don't even know if it's still on. But anyway, we had just got our hardwoods downstairs, the house stained. So she leaves. I can't go downstairs. I put 2 kids to bed. I'm sitting on my bed scrolling through Facebook, and the local wrestling promotion is having a top manager competition. So I'm 5'6", less than I don't weigh very much. A fairly light dude.
Could you be a jockey if you really dedicated yourself?
I could be a jockey if I dedicated myself. I could be a high school wrestler if I dedicated myself, but I'm 39 years old. So they're doing a competition for a wrestling manager. So essentially, a wrestling manager is the guy who talks shit and then lets the big guys do the fighting. And I said, damn, I've been training for this my whole life.
You're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. And so submit a video. And so I sent the little link to a couple people. I'm like, this would be funny. And then I talked to Michelle, who does all of our social media. She said, it would be a great idea. It would be great branding for the company. And so I named myself 3MP. Because that's the name of the company. So shit,
why not?
People Google it. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. And submitted a video. And lo and behold, now we're 4 or 5 months in, and our next event is December 29th, District Atlanta. Be there. Unlimited bar for $45. If you can't handle that, you got a problem. And I've got a squad of wrestlers that I manage, and it's ridiculous fun. It's like playing make believe as a grown up, and it's great. It's interesting.
Yeah, I went to your last bout. Is that what they're officially called?
Yeah, match event. I don't know, pay-per-view, but I don't know. I don't know what it'd be called.
I had a hell of a good time. Yeah, good vibe. You played your part well.
Yeah, I almost got beat up.
You did it. I was about to get in the ring there for a second. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, no. So Eddie, so we've got this forum here, and we've had buddies who've done these podcasts, and it seems to be the way to go. And ultimately, I think the reason that we're doing this is we've got some pretty funny stories that
catalog.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, and so I think our goal over the course of however long this thing goes would be to
unleash some of those gems,
entertain and have them captured, so that as we get older and we lose our memories, the stories will
live on forever.
Continue, yes. Anything else we want to add here for first little introduction, or we're warming up and learning?
Yeah, give us a wide berth. We have absolutely no idea what we're doing. Let's start with that.
Yep.
But we'll see where we land.
Yep. Imagine it'll be entertaining at the least, and then hey, maybe we've learned something.
We might learn something.
Thing or two.
We may learn about ourselves. We may become better people. Unlikely.
Doubt it. But leopard doesn't change its stripes, Ed.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Love it.
Peace.